Hey everyone, Andy Sykes here, and I'm out on the new Privateer E161 EMTB. Now before we get into this video, please remember, if you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe. That really helps me. Helps to tell the algorithm that I'm doing a good job and you guys want to see more. Now in today's video, I'm going to go through all the details of the Privateer E161. Talk about the ideas behind the development of this ready to rally enduro EMTB bike. I'm also going to go through the specification highlights, and obviously I'm going to be riding it too, and that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to head to the top of this trail and do a few runs on my local descents. But before we get into that, of course, let's get the beauty shots. Hey everyone, Andy Sykes here, and today we're looking at the Privateer E161, Privateer's first e-bike, and a bike that was developed off the back of the award-winning 161 enduro bike. Now when Privateer set about to create the e-bike, they had a few ideas in mind. Firstly, they wanted their E161 to handle just like the 161, so riders can easily jump between the two. And secondly, they wanted to ensure a bike that was the ultimate EWS and EDR training tool. They wanted something that could get up those steep climbs in no time and allow their athletes to get as much training in no matter what the weather is. And what they came up with is this, the E161, a full aluminium bike with mullet wheel setup, 160mm travel on the rear, 170 on the front, a Shimano motor and an internal 630 watt-hour battery. The E161 comes in four sizes, P1, P2, P3, P4, and as you would expect, as the bike gets bigger, the reach gets longer. But what's really impressive on the E161, the chainstay length also increases too. This is one of the few bikes on the market with size-specific chainstays. What that means is on a P1 or a P2, you have shorter chainstays. On a P3 and a P4, you get larger chainstays, and there's a 10mm gap between the two. The P1 and P2 share the same back end, 446mm, the P3, 456, and the P4, 466. And what this really ensures is that the rider is always in the middle of the bike for really balanced handling. We see on other bikes that the reach obviously increases, but the back end doesn't, and that can make for an unbalanced ride. And what it means is the bike handles really well no matter what size bike you're on. So a size small rider, a P1 rider, will get the same riding experience as a P4 rider. That's something that's really unique to the E161. The E161 also shares some of its geometry with its 161 brother. It has a 64-degree head angle and a really steep seat tube angle. It's actually not quite as steep as the 161. We've got a 79-degree seat tube angle on this, and the reason being, Privateer feel that they want their rider further over the back wheel to give that rear wheel traction when climbing up really steep stuff, something that those size-specific chainstays really aid with. Now Privateer are really well known for creating bikes that are hard charging and rugged, ready to rally out of the box, and the E161 is no exception. There are some really nice details on this that ensure that this bike will last for a long time and the performance will be top notch. Now the E161 comes with an aluminium bash guard to protect the EP801 motor. Most brands just put a plastic bash guard on, not Privateer though. That aluminium one is 4mm thick with an 8mm neoprene backing. So you could really sump this out on rocks and logs and not worry about damaging your motor. We've also got really easy to access cable and hose routing. The 161 and the 141 are really well known for having external cable routing. The E161 goes internal, but because the battery is removable, you have that massive hole in the down tube so you can get easy access for servicing. That's a really, really great feature. The E161 also has a forged one-piece rocker, something that is quite expensive to do, but it ensures a really strong linkage, and it also ensures perfect bearing alignment. And speaking of bearings, we've got some really chunky bearings on this. Privateer really want you just to go out and ride this bike, not really worry about maintaining it. As already mentioned, the E161 has a removable battery. It's a 630 watt-hour Shimano battery in this, enough for around 2,000 meters of climbing. Obviously, the EP801 gives 85 Newton meters of torque, but there's been some updates to this motor. It's quieter than it used to be. It also has a better power delivery as well. And just like any Shimano system for the past few years, we have Eco, Trail, and Boost modes, as well as a walk mode. And using the Shimano eTube app, you can actually go in here and you can reprogram those assist modes to how you like them. One thing that's really cool is that Privateer have actually already loaded 2 profiles into this bike. We have a dry mode and a wet trail mode. The wet trail mode ensures that torque doesn't come on too quickly, so you're not spinning the wheels on those slippy, rooty climbs that we're bound to have this winter. As well as a sorted geometry, a burly aluminium frame, and sorted bearings, we've got really nice components hanging off this bike. Privateer really don't want to spend the rider's money in the wrong areas. So we get high performance, but we don't get that flashy bling. For example, the suspension on this is Performance Elite suspension. This is the same damping system as you'd get on a Fox factory fork, but without the gold Kashima coating. Out of the box, the Privateer E161 gets downhill casing tires. We've got a DHR on the rear and a Assegai on the front. Another cool feature of the specification are the wheels. These are Hunt's all-mountain wheel set, and this wheel set was actually developed for the E161. I don't think there are many e-bikes that can claim that they have a wheel set specifically designed for them. These wheels have been developed so they can handle the extra torque and load of an e-bike. For example, you get reinforced aluminium rims front and rear, brass nipples, steel nipple washers, triple butted spokes, and even Hunt's new phasing gauge rear hub, which has a 6x1 pawl system, all made of steel. The brakes on the E161 are really powerful Hayes Dominion 4-piston brakes. These are some of the best brakes on the market, with a really nice lever feel and tons of power. The rest of the drivetrain comes from Shimano with an SLX rear derailleur, but an XT shifter, because we all know shifting performance comes from the shifter, not the rear derailleur. Privateer have also tweaked the kinematics of the suspension to get the most out of the EP801 motor system. They have increased the anti-rise on this, but they have reduced anti-squat. Now, on a regular bike, that would mean that you're getting a lot of bob as you pedal. But because you have a motor there which keeps the torque on quite consistently without any stabbing of the pedals, you don't really feel that pedal bob so much. Also, it doesn't really matter. You've got a motor to help you get everywhere. What that does mean, though, it means you've got a very, very active back end, which increases traction and grip on climbs. It means that anything that the back end hits, the rear wheel will float over it. The suspension is very, very progressive too. So although when you sit on the bike and get going, you'll notice that the first section of travel is quite easy to move through. There's a really nice stable pedal platform, and you can really push against that when you're on the trail. And when you ride it, that suspension kinematic makes for a very, very playful and enjoyable ride. So now we've been through everything on the E161, let's get out onto the trail to see how it performs. Okay, we're nearly at the top of the hill. We're going to do some descending. We're going to do this first run sensibly. I'm not going to go into it too quick because I've not been up here today, so I don't know what the trail conditions are like, and I don't know if there's any obstructions. So we're going to drop into one of the trails straight away. Look at that before we go. Look at the view of Manchester. Beautiful sunlight over there too. Oh, and there's a fire. I hope that's controlled. Right, anyway, let's get into it. We're not going to take the Strava line. So this P2 E161 has a reach of 470 millimeters, 64-degree head tube angle, 79-degree seat tube angle, and, you know, 470 sounds long, but with that steep seat tube angle, as you probably all know, these modern bikes never feel as long as they sound. I'm 178 centimeters tall, so I've gone for this size bike. So it suits me really well. We've got 160, oh, I went the wrong way, 160 mil travel on the front, 170 at the rear, downhill casing tyres front and rear too. just endless grip, this bike. You can probably hear the suspension working hard, but you'll probably be surprised to not hear an EP8 rattle. Shimano seems to have sorted it out big time on this. It's not perfect, but it's better than it was. Those Dominion brakes, insane, so good brakes. Right, we're not going to go to the end. We're going to go loop around and do that again. That was fun. May as well do a bit of chat on my way back up. So descending is super good fun on this bike, but climbing is equally good fun. The geometry is really well sorted. It isn't just a descender. It'll happily climb all day too. The longer chainstays really help grip, along with that slightly slacker seat tube angle, which gives you a really good position, slightly over the rear wheel, but not by much, just to give a bit of traction. And there's zero front wheel flow at all. The bike is planted up and down the trail. Okay, before we descend again, just gonna chill at the top a little bit. I'm gonna get a swig of water. Yep, that's right, I can even fit a bottle in the front triangle. Admittedly, on the smaller bikes, you can only put a smaller bottle in, but larger bikes, P3s and P4s, you can put a bigger bottle in there. But yeah, I do hope that fire over there is controlled. That is not looking good. Rightio, before it gets too dark and the camera starts to struggle with the low light, let's get into this descent. This time, I'm not decided which one I'm going to do. Probably start at the same one. Oh, got a bug. Probably start on the same one. I might peel off to the left again like you did just then, but hit that little jump. Maybe go to the bottom, or I might go right and take this through a few rock gardens. I think I'm going to go left and then come back up again and go and do the descent again on the right, so I can get 3 runs in. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, on the bike, let's get it into gear, get ready to descend. I can't believe it's October the 8th, I think, and it's like 20 degrees out here. Okie dokie, so we're dropping in. We're going to go the same way again. We're going to make use of these downhill casing tyres on these rocks, get the most of the grip. Really enjoy this Performance Elite suspension in this chunky terrain. I really like that Privateer have up-spec'd the suspension on this bike to give it a really quality dampers, front and rear. They've spent money where they've needed to, but not wasted their customers' money on blingy bits like the bar and stem on this. Are just no name bar and stem, but they work. And chances are people will replace these with something that they prefer anyway. Well, that's not a very good jump. I think going around it's more fun. Oh. Ooh. It also means they've got money for the e-bike specific wheels, and those are really powerful. These brakes, even the display for the Shimano motor is the higher end full color model. They could have sprung for the cheaper one, but they've not. We're gonna go continue straight down this time. The bike feels really good. I'm over braking a bit, to be honest, because I cleaned my bike the other day and I've cleaned the brakes and they're way better than they were. What's interesting is, for years we've been told we should get over the front of our bikes for grip, but on this, I'm really just in the middle. I'm kind of relaxed on the front, to be fair. I'm just stood on the pedals in the center of the bike, letting the front end grip around. Really good. Such a fun bike. Right, up again, I think. We'll go the difficult climb up. All right, now before we climb up this trail, I'm going to first put the E161 in wet trail mode. Not because it's wet, but simply because the trail is kind of rocky and loose, and wet trail mode will mean, there you go, wet or loose. Okay, it's wet and loose actually. This will mean that not all of my power is getting pushed through the back end of the bike straight away. It's going to be more gradual in the way the power is put down. So hopefully on this rocky climb now, it's quite rocky and steep, I'll be able to make most of the laid back seating possession, the extra grip from the kinematic and the suspension, and also like not worry about all my power going straight to the wheel and spinning around and like losing traction. I should be able to just cruise up. In theory, it still takes skill as well. Let's see if we can do it. Plug you back in there. So it's in wet loose mode now. As I go around this corner, it will start to go up and it will get loose and rocky. We've not started yet, don't worry, this is not the climb. That would be a bit lame, wouldn't it? I will cheat and put it into boost. I'm not afraid of doing that. There we go. So actually it's not as bad as it can be. I suppose the rain recently has helped. Oh, I could probably have got up here in the regular mode. Oh well, I'm not really complaining. Now the trick with climbing on an e-bike is when it's loose and rocky, put it into boost, don't be afraid of using it, but let the motor do the work. Remember, the motor is much smoother and more efficient at getting the power down than you are. So rather than pedaling up the hill, putting a load of pressure in, stamping on those pedals and losing traction, just let the motor pull you up. Yes, it sounds like cheating, but you will be able to get up climbs that you wouldn't be able to do on your regular mountain bike. That's not to say that that climb was difficult. That was a pretty easy climb, to be fair. Like and subscribe! We're going to drop into the trail again. We're going to take it easy because there were some kids on the trail a moment ago, so I just don't know what they're doing. So let's go. It's going a little bit darker now too, so I'm not sure what the quality of this camera is like. It doesn't really like low light. It's so nice to have these trails so close to home. I never hit that jump. It seems to be the wrong spot always. I'm gonna go straight this time. It's rocky now. Good test with the suspension. Just carry itself well over these rocky bits. Ooh, some loose rocks there. There's a weird berm here. Always get it wrong. Yeah, I don't know if you meant to go around that or what. Ooh. All right, no one on that trail. Rain's picking up now. the hill I just climbed up. So I think that's everything covered for the Privateer E161. I hope you found this video interesting. Please remember, if you do like this video, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe as well. And there'll be more e-bike, mountain bike and retro car content very soon. See you later.